Today,
Nice to meet you.
we're going to talk T, Y, and E safety. This is going to be in your big, thick book under the safety tab. And there's a lot of rules to cover. Because safety is a big thing on the railroad. T, Y, and E. What do you think that stands for? T, Y, E.
Train yard and
Dang, that's pretty good. Where'd you get that from?
start with it.
Trainmen, yardmen, and engineers. Okay? So really, essentially what this is saying is transportation safety. Okay? Remember, you got mechanical folks. They got a little bit different rules. A lot of them are like ours, but they got their own specific rules with mechanical folks about wearing face shields and, you know, things like that, and maintenance away folks. So this is transportation safety. Okay? A lot of this stuff is going to be common sense to you. And then some of it, maybe not. Maybe it won't make sense. Okay? Remember, you'll see rule numbers up in the top part of the slide. That's a good thing to highlight. I think the homework, if you haven't started on this, is pretty extensive. There's like 58 questions. Okay? And your quiz tomorrow is 40. So,
There's just one homework assignment tonight.
yes, sir. Yeah. All right. Let's get it with it. S-1, that's the rule number. Okay. Core safety rules. Brewski.
These rules provide a core of safe work practices for NARS people. The rules apply every day and in every job we do. They will guide and direct us in maintaining a safe work environment. NARS is committed to your safety around the clock. The information in this book is a vital component of helping you make solid and safe decisions on the job and with your family at home.
All right. So, you know, we have a saying on the railroad, all of the safety rules were written in blood. That's what they say. You know, usually due to some accident or an injury or some unfortunate situation created another rule, right? So that's the core of safe work practices. They are committed to your safety, believe it or not. You know, they didn't hire you to get hurt, and they didn't hire you to break their equipment. All right. They hired you to be an asset to the company, not a liability. Okay. So they don't want you getting hurt. They paid a lot of money to train you. So if you can't do your job, that's money wasted in a lot of ways. Not to mention that other people have to step up and do it for you. Okay? And let me tell you something. They don't want you to get hurt at home either. And you can be like, you know, right here, on the job or at home. And a lot of railroaders are like, yeah, sure, right. They really care about me when I'm not here. They do. Because if you got a broken leg at home, it's still a broken leg. And you can't perform your duties. You see what I'm saying? And anything that the railroad gives you as far as protective equipment or things like that, they not only allow you to use that on your off time, they encourage it. And if you break it or mess it up, just get some new stuff when you come back to work. They don't care. They don't want you to get hurt. All right, job safety briefing. This is a biggie right here. S-1.1. Ross.
Job safety briefing. Employees must participate in a job safety briefing before beginning work and when work or job conditions change. The briefing must include a discussion of the tasks to be performed, present exposures, and the associated risks, along with methods to control or minimize and such risks, who, what, why, when, where, and how.
That first sentence right there, that's worthy of a lot of notoriety, meaning highlights or stars. Okay. When do you participate in a safety briefing or a job briefing? Before the work begins, or any time the conditions change for that job. You might have to stop and rebrief. Okay. You will see maintenance of way people and mechanical people. They usually work in groups, right? In their own little work area. So if you have maintenance away out there working on a defect on the track, 2 or 3 guys, it's concentrated right here. Okay? If I come walking up to their area, or some manager or you, some outside force, they will actually stop their work and the supervisor will come out and meet you and give you a job briefing before you come into their work. So, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And he won't let you come into that area if you don't have the proper equipment, you know, like hard hats and stuff like that for them. And all it is, what this is going to tell you, S-1.1, it's just, what are we doing? Let's just talk about it, you know. How can we mitigate the risk? Are there any risk? You know, there's a risk associated with everything. There's a risk associated with you getting up out of that chair, you know. But how do you mitigate that risk and lessen the effect? Okay? Where do you do it? Well, wherever it needs to be done. Sometimes that's as soon as you get called on duty, you're sitting across the table from your engineer, job briefing about your route, about your trip, about your train, about your track bulletins. Anything can be a job briefing. Okay? The big thing for you, especially when you're new, is make sure you understand what was said. Okay? If they're going to tell you how they're going to get their work done today, the sequence of events, and you're not quite following that, don't leave that job briefing until you ask and get some clarification. Okay? And don't be timid about it, you know. And I've been that way before. I'm like, I really don't understand what's going on, but I don't want to look stupid either. You know, that's human nature. Look stupid. Okay? Make them explain it to you. You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to break the equipment, and they don't want you to get hurt. Okay? Questions on any of that? All right, 1.4.6, 3-point contact. Mr. Fu, Tyler?
Maintain 3 points of contact when getting on or off vehicles, equipment, and machinery, and when exceeding or when ascending or descending ladders or platforms. 3-point contact consists of both feet and one hand, or both hands and one foot.
So the bottom line to this is anytime you're on any piece of equipment, it's 3-point contact. Yes, sir.
Does your bottom count as a point of contact?
No.
No.
And here's why. The bottom does not count for a point of contact. Why? Because you're not supposed to be sitting down out there on that equipment. Now, obviously, you're going to sit on the inside of the locomotive, and that's fine. They're not talking about 3-point contact in that setting. They're talking about when you're climbing around on the outside of that equipment. Okay? 3-point contact.
I didn't know if there was any settings where it would require to use your bottom as a contact point.
Yeah. Well, let me back up what I just said. Let me kind of correct something. There is one occasion to where you can sit down. and we're gonna talk about that later, it's on a flat car. If you're riding on a flat car, well, there's no ladder to hold on to, is there? Right? So in some circumstances, you can get on the top of a flat car and sit down. In fact, the rule book says sit down or kneel. So, yes, that would be considered, in that instance, 3-point contact. And you know, that's, you go out here to week 4, and you're climbing around on this equipment, and you would think, okay, it's pretty easy to do 3-point contact. And it is, but you'll notice in week 4, when you go out there, they're going to be correcting you a lot. You didn't have 3-point contact when you did that, and you're like, really? You know, because it's not as natural as you might think sometimes when you're making certain moves. So you just got to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Seat belts. Lawrence.
Oh, wear seat belts while operating or riding in equipment or vehicles that are stopped with an exception. Seat belts are not required when employees are operating vehicles while performing train inspections or coupling air hoses. When operating the vehicle and travel to and from such work activities, seat belts must be worn.
So really, it's a really simple thing for you guys. We don't have seat belts on the locomotives, okay? Don't really need them. Not much going to shake it up, okay? The times a seat belts rule is going to come into effect for you is when we're deadheading you somewhere in a van, right? And it's, you know, it's simple. If it's got a seat belt, you need to wear it, okay? And they also, you'll see this again. A seat belt doesn't provide the protection it's supposed to if you put the seat belt on and are laying down in the vehicle. You understand what I'm saying? So that's not the intended use of a seat belt. Okay. Now this exception right here, seat belts are not required when employees are operating vehicles performing train inspections. Basically what that's talking about usually is someone like a carman. Okay? You bring a train into the receiving yard at Argentine. The yardmaster tells you to cut your power off and do whatever he tells you to do with it. And now the carmen are going to go inspect your train and bleed it where they can hump it. A lot of times they use, what do they call those?
Side-by-sides.
That and mules. You know what I'm talking about? Little four-wheelers.
Oh, okay.
And they'll drive along down through there and they'll bleed the cars, inspect them. Sometimes they have to get out and do stuff. Those are the times where they're not expected to wear a seatbelt, when they're in and out of their vehicle like that. Okay, that's what that's talking about. Lights or lanterns? Brewski. 1.4.10.
At night or when lights or lanterns, at night or when visibility is limited. Crew members, except engineers, must use a railroad supplied lantern. Remote control operators must use a railroad supplied lantern or railroad supplied hands-free lighting device. Locomotive engineers must use a flashlight or railroad supplied lantern.
Anybody know what a lantern looks like?
Yes, sir.
The
You ever
old
seen
ones
one?
look like.
Got it.
Huh?
I know what the old ones look like.
I'll show you one.
I mean, I've got all the old ones.
You did?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this thing's nice. And they're expensive.
They match my overalls as well. What?
They're all LED now.
I know the old ones go for like $100.
I got a t-shirt, my ice white t-shirt that goes on the Oh, that's the new color?
This is a typical lantern that you're going to see on the railroad. Obviously, it's a BNSF lantern. It's orange. UP lanterns are what?
Blue.
Yellow.
Yellow.
Oh,
That's right. Yellow.
wait, what's UP stand for? Union Pacific.
Union Pacific.
That's right.
I thought they were blue.
Mm-mm.
Yellow, the train's yellow.
Yellow, that's the color, okay? So that's a lantern. When you get hired out as a conductor, they're gonna issue you one of these. Most of the times, your engineers don't have these. They may have one left over from when they were a conductor, but engineers are not required to carry this. Most of the time they carry a regular flashlight because they're not on the ground out there working. They're driving the engines, right? So that's a lantern, and we will. You will use these out in week 4 because there's a nighttime training out there, and we'll teach you the hand signals and stuff like that, and just overall getting used to working with a lantern in your hand. Okay, so that's a lantern. Now about the lighting requirement. Crew members must use a railroad supplied lantern. We got that. Remote control operators use a railroad supplied lantern to supplied hands-free lighting device. Why? Because they're operating the locomotive, right? It's a remote control. So what they have is these really cool LED lights for remote control operators to use. And I mean, they're awesome. They shine bright, okay? They either come with a headband or they have a clip. They'll clip to their vest. And they can run their remote control. Here's the problem. The railroad wants you to use the correct lighting device for the job you're doing. What do I mean by that? Well, if I'm a normal conductor out there on the ground and I'm switching my cars, right? I got a lantern in my hand, okay? But a lot of these conductors love these remote control lights because they shine so bright and they're just the coolest thing, right? So sometimes they can commandeer one. So you'll have a conductor out there. I had this myself in my own yard. I had a conductor out there that had acquired a remote control light because he came on a trip to Kansas City and got one because they had remotes all over the place. And so he's out there doing his nighttime switching job. Okay, so he puts this light on his headband. Got this little light, and I mean it's lighting up the earth. It's awesome. So here's the problem. He's the conductor on the job, and he's got his switch list. Are you with me? Because he's switching out a train. So here's what he's doing. He switched a couple of cars, okay, and they went into their tracks. And now he's looking at his list, right? He's, kind of looking into the tracks. He's looking at his list like this. And all of a sudden, the whole cut of cars in the train starts moving. And he's like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop, because the engineer started moving the train. You know what happened?
The flashing of the light.
When he was doing this right here, looking up like that, like this, that light was going straight up and down. That's a signal. That's a nighttime signal. That's just like me doing this with a lantern. You know what that signal means? Proceed forward. So the engineer, all he saw, because he's so far away, right? All he saw was the light. So he just started moving. That's why they want you to use the correct utensil for the situation you're in. Okay.
How heavy is that thing?
Not heavy here.
I got
And that's got a battery in it.
Oh, I got the classic kind you light up.
Oh, you do?
Yes, sir.
I got one with the wick in it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
It's my bedtime night light. Like if I have to get up in the
Just
night
shine some red.
Yeah.
and then I'll turn on the lights.
And I don't think the batteries are good. Maybe they are. Yeah, the batteries.
Oh,
Press the button
I'm
and then you
fired.
looked at it.
But this it has two functions actually, okay? You can shine it straight out, or you got another switch. It's got like a switch both ways, and it lights this part up. You see what I'm saying? That way when you're walking, they can just see your light.
Can you do both at the same time?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That way, you know, because there's some other signals we give, like this right here. If I give a car count, like back up 3 cars, right? I go like this. 1, 2, 3. Well, I'm not pointing this at him to do that. So that's why the light comes out here too. Okay. That's all trivial stuff right now. We'll get into that later. Just use the right lighting device. And oh, by the way, use it when it's required. Okay? Don't try to be out there because you forgot your lantern at home and try to dilly-dally around in the dark and do your work. That's a good way to get hurt. All right, footing. Whoever's next. 1.5.3.
No, it's you, Ross.
Rick Ross.
Across the box. Footing. Be alert to all walkway conditions and adjust your actions to accommodate weather, time of day, and grade. Guard against slipping and stumbling hazards by using handholds and railings when available. Except in emergency, running is not permitted in the performance of duty.
That's why railroad people are so big.
You go, yeah, that's right. You go to just about any railroad you want to pick and go ask a manager on that railroad right out of the blue. What would you say would be the leading cause of injuries on your railroad? You know what they'll tell you? Any railroad, they're going to tell you slip, trip, and fall injuries. That's one of the leading causes of injury on the railroad. Just out there walking, tripping over something, stumbling. Okay? Especially prevalent in icy weather for obvious reasons, right? Okay. Now the running, yeah. Except in emergency, they don't want you running out there. Okay, there's been people that got arms cut off because of that. Fell under a car. Now for most crusty old conductors, this rule is not a problem. They're not running to do anything except go to their car and go home at the end of the day. That's when they'll run, right? I take a dim view as a manager. Now the rule book doesn't specifically say it, but a lot of times I'll say something to people if they're out there walking like this with their hands in their pocket. I'll say something to people walking like this. Why? Because you know that's a natural reaction, right? If you trip and fall, you can't control that. Your arms just automatically try to catch you. But when they're in your pockets knee deep, you can't do that, okay? So I don't like to see people doing that. Walking backwards, big no-no, okay? Just all kinds of stuff like that. And see, a lot of this stuff, like I said, is common sense. In the icy, snowy winter weather, the railroad will supply you with anti-slip footwear, you know, cleats. All right, movement of equipment, 1.6.1.
Expect the movement of trains, engines, cars, and other equipment at any time on any track and in either direction.
Believe it or not, do you remember when we went to Lenexa Yard on the tour? There was nothing going on out there, was it? That is one of the most dangerous times you can be in a yard, believe it or not. Anybody want to guess why?
Because you get complacent?
Exactly, complacency. You're like, well, there's nothing going on out here. I can just cut through that thing of cars, right? They're not gonna move because there's nobody here to move them. Wrong answer. Railroad cars can do weird things. Air brakes can do weird things like release, bleed off, leak out, and then the cars will move. That's one of the most dangerous times because we tend to get complacent. Okay? You always have to be alert and expect that movement anytime, any place, any direction. Worthy of a star, by the way. You know what I mean when I say worthy by a star? This is worth putting a star by. This is worth highlighting. What do you think I'm getting at?
It's gonna be on the test.
Pretty important if I'm telling you to do it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm not going to bore you with this too much. I'm just going to kind of explain it. This is talking about 10.2.1, moving. They're talking about moving equipment around a shop facility, locomotives. Okay, why do they specifically point this out to you? Because there may be times to where the management or the yard masters, you come on duty for a train, and they will tell you your train is over here in this track, but your locomotives are in the diesel shop. You need to go get those and put them on your train, right? Well, these diesel shops and car shop repair areas and things like that, they're very protected areas. Remember the blue flags, blue signals that Jeremy was telling you about? That all comes into play in these areas. And we're going to have a class on blue signals tomorrow, okay? But you got to be watching what you're doing because you got a lot of people that are intentionally on, underneath, around all this equipment because they're working on it, okay? Very, very, very dangerous place if you're not doing what you need to do. Yeah.
When you're moving a train or your locomotives like that, your power, who gives you permission to start going through the yard? Because I'm sure there's switches you have to switch and to get to where your train is actually located.
When you come out of that diesel shop, you're going to call your yard master and say, hey, we're over here at the diesel shop. They're letting us out. Which way do you want us to go? Right? Or can we go yet? Yard master is going to be the one to tell you that. This is more of the same. Here's something I do want you to realize, though. In all of your car shop repair areas or diesel shops, the maximum speed in these areas is 5 miles an hour. Okay? Now you see here, 1 mile an hour is the speed for a turntable. Does anybody know what a turntable is?
Turns your train.
That turns your locomotive around, right? And not every place has a turntable, by the way. Okay, you take a place like Argentine. Now they have the best of everything. I mean, they really do. It's a huge yard, right? But you take a place out here in the country, a small yard, they probably don't have a turntable, right? But we do have other ways of getting our locomotives turned around when we need to sometimes. Anybody want to take a guess at what it's called? It's called a Y. A Y in the track. And it's built like this. At my area, I had 2 main lines that went through the yard. Okay. This main line, when you left my yard, went to a place called Pratt, Kansas, 100 miles away. This yard went through my yard and headed toward Wichita, Kansas. This main line. Okay. But right outside the yard, there was a track that connected them, like this. And then there was like crossovers through my yard and whatnot. So if I needed to turn an engine, I would just tell my switch crew or the road crew, all right, yeah, let's go out there, head toward this way and get your power turned, right? So they'd go out here, stop, line the switch, back through, stop, and that would turn the engine. Kind of like a turntable, right? 5 miles an hour in the diesel shop, 1 mile an hour on the turntable. All right, spotting, same thing. Sounding alarm bells before starting a locomotive. They want you to sound an alarm bell. Why? Because there could be somebody in or about the locomotive. Some of these locomotives, you can actually walk into the engine compartment. Okay? So you could be over here at the starting station for a locomotive, and then, 15 feet down the way inside could be a diesel shop employee working in that engine compartment. So you always want to make sure that alarm goes off. And really, when you turn the circuit breakers on and all this and get ready to start it up, most of the time it goes off automatically. And it's kind of like a schoolhouse bell. It just rings, okay? And all it is to, like I say, alert anybody that may be working on it or around it, okay? Going between cars or locomotives. This is a task, Rule 13.1.1. This is a task that you are going to do numerous times in your railroad career. That's what you do. You mess with the railroad cars. Okay? Who's up next? This is pretty important. Go ahead.
Going between or working on the end of rail equipment means an employee has placed all part of their body where it could be struck by rail equipment if it were to move. Note, operating the uncoupling lever is not considered going between the rail equipment.
So do you think the railroad considers this to be a big issue?
Yes.
Absolutely. If you're placing your body in a position where you could get hit by something moving, it's a big deal, right? So we got to have control measures in place for you to do that safely. And we're going to talk about those control measures. But look at the note. Operating the uncoupling lever is not considered going between the equipment. Remember at the hump, when that guy was up there pulling pins, were the cars moving?
Yes.
Absolutely. They have to be moving, right? But when he's pulling that uncoupling lever, that's not considered going between equipment. Although your hand is actually, braking that plane, they don't consider that going between equipment. Because you're going to do a lot of that too. You have to do that to switch cars. They have to be moving, right? All right, this is going to kind of tell us how to do it. Go ahead, Brewski.
Before crew members go between or work on the end of rail equipment on any track, they must wait for movement to stop and slack to adjust. Ensure that all crew members have a clear understanding of the work to be performed. Where engines may be working on or at both ends of the tracks, crew switching must have a clear understanding of movements to be made.
Okay, so there is a specific procedure for you to follow when you have to go in between equipment. Okay, and we're getting ready to get down to the nitty-gritty of that. But here's what we're going to do before we even start that procedure. Let's say I'm backing this engineer up. I'm on the ground. I got my car right here, and we're going to pick up this car with our engines. Okay? So I'm giving him hand signals, right? And I get him all the way in, and boom, we couple up to this car. Okay? First thing I'm going to do before I go in between this equipment to do something like take a handbrake off or maybe to lace an air hose, right? I got to get in the equipment to do that, right? Before I do any of that, I'm going to wait for all the movement to stop, okay? Because just because you tell him to stop and he does, that doesn't mean that all the movement is going to be standing still. Why? You could have a few cars in that mix that have like tank cars in them, and you get that fluid sloshing around, it can move those cars, right? Or you were moving backwards and you hit the car, and you know how you had slack, remember? The slack could be in, and maybe it just, when it relaxes, it stretches. So you want to make sure all the movement has stopped and the slack has adjusted before you mention you're going in between that equipment, okay? Make sure everybody knows what you're doing. Clear understanding of the work to be performed. It's important. Not just the engineer. If you have a brakeman or a helper on your job, make sure he knows too, okay? Sometimes when you've got engines working at both ends of a track, and a lot of times that happens, especially if it's in a yard environment where they do work. You know, you might be, you might have, we all know what bowl tracks are, right? We saw them in the tower, all 62 of them, okay? Remember those? That's where the cars come off the hump and just settle into the bowl. You know, I got all these tracks out there.
Yeah.
Well, most of the time, all these tracks have two ends, right? So, you know, you got them like that. If I'm in this track up here, there could very well be someone operating in that same track 2 miles away. Okay? So you want to make sure you job brief with any potential crews at the other end of that track. It doesn't do you a lick of good to be doing everything safely and they're shoving 15 cars down on you. You see what I'm saying? So, all right. Now we're getting ready to get into the procedure of actually getting in between the equipment. And you're going to notice a couple of things. There's a certain way we do it if your locomotive is not attached to the equipment, okay? And there's going to be a procedure if you are attached. We're going to talk about both. So go ahead. 13.1.1.
The locomotive is not coupled to rail equipment. A crew member must notify all members of the crew by radio. That crew member will be going in between or working on the end of rail equipment on any track. Members of the notified crew must acknowledge by radio that they understand a crew member will be going between or working on the end of rail equipment.
Little explanation right here. Those are my bowl tracks. Okay. Let's say I'm on a switching job. I've got an engineer that drives a train. I got a conductor and I got a brakeman. Okay. Well, the engineer's driving the engine. So the brakeman and the conductor are on the ground doing work. Okay. Let's say the engineer and the conductor are in this track, maybe getting a few cars together. They're building a train, right? And later, in a few minutes, they're going to be coming over here and getting those 3 cars. Well, as a good railroader, I'm a brakeman, right? As a good railroader, I'm thinking, okay, while they're over here doing this, I'm going to be proactive and I'm going to go over here and get these cars ready for pickup. Maybe lace the air hoses or do something like that. Be proactive. Be efficient. Okay? This is kind of what this is talking about. I'm going to go over here, but there's no locomotives attached. Right? The way I have to do that is I have to call all of my crew members by radio. And that call is going to sound something like this. Yeah, NARS 1234. That's my engine number, right? This is Brakeman Brown. I'm going to be going in between cars unattached in track 3. Just like that. That's the way that sounds. And you'll do that out in the field too, okay, when you go out to week 4. So NARS 1234, Brakeman Brown is going to go in between cars unattached in track 3. Now, the engineer, if he hears me, he's going to say, understand Brakeman Brown's going in between cars in track 3, unattached. Conductor also has to say, conductor understands Brakeman Brown's going in between cars unattached in track. You see how that works? Everybody has to acknowledge that on the radio. And I don't care if we're standing right next to one another within an arm's length. He still has to respond over the radio. Why? It's because it's not just about us, it's about everybody hearing it. You got it? So that's one way to do it.
Like a one signal radio, everybody kind of hears it.
Yes. If you're in the yard environment, usually everybody's operating on the same freak. Okay? So just by listening to the radio, you can hear a lot about what's going on. Okay? Now, here's what we're going to do if the locomotive is attached. So the same... Y'all like that, don't you? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
Huh? You want me to play it again for you? Man, we got the best of everything here.
I didn't know where that was.
All right.
That was like the school or somebody.
Let's play it again. Listen up. All right, ready?
Ready?
In between that and center.
All right. I told you, only the best for you and yours around here. Now, we're going to talk about the procedure for going between the rail equipment when your locomotive's attached. So here's the scenario now, right here. We backed up into here, and we got our cars together, okay? And now the conductor needs to get in between these cars and maybe take some handbrakes off or lay some air hoses or something that's going to put him in between the equipment. And the locomotive's attached. So this is what we're doing. Who's next?
Me.
Go ahead.
If the locomotive is coupled to rail equipment, after ensuring movement has stopped and slack has adjusted, the crew member must either announce by radio going between or give the prescribed hand signal. The crew member of the controls of the locomotive must fully apply the independent brakes, center the reverser, and then acknowledge the radio transmission or hand signal. If using the radio response, acknowledgement set and centered. If using hand signals, sound one long whistle signal.
Okay, so locomotive's attached. We have to go between. What is the procedure? First of all, you're either going to do it by radio or by hand signals. You're not going to mix the two. All right. So when I back up in here and I hook up to these cars, what's the first two things I have to wait for?
Stop.
For the movement to stop and what? Slack.
Oh, slack on the course.
Slack to adjust. So I got to wait for the movement to stop, slack to adjust. You might as well get that in your brain right now because you're going to do it all in week 4. Okay. Now, all that has subsided. Now I'm ready to go in between, right? If I'm using hand signals, I'm going to give him the proper hand signal. This is what the signal looks like. And you're going to do this in week 4 1,000 times. If this is my cars, right? My hand signal is going to be like this. I'm going to raise my hand closest to the cars, point where I'm going, and I'm facing the engineer on the engine, right? He's looking at me in a mirror, and I'm going to do this right here. Okay? When he sees me do that, That's the sign for going between. When he sees that, he's gonna acknowledge that by one toot of the horn. Okay, that's the signals. Now, before he blows that horn, he's got to do two things on the engines. He has to center the reverser and get a full set on his independent brakes. Here's what they're talking about. The reverser in his locomotive is this item right here. Okay? It's got neutral, forward, reverse. Okay? He's got to center it, right?
Are they really that easy? You just
Absolutely.
That easy?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is called an independent brake. Remember I told you what this was? It's an
An
automatic
automatic
brake
brake
valve.
valve.
This controls the air to the whole train, right? This is called an independent brake. It controls the locomotive brakes only. So he's gonna go set, full independent, and center the reverser. And when he does that, he's gonna blow the horn. After I hear that horn blow, I can go in and do my thing. Okay? Now the other way to do it is by radio. If I'm doing radio signals. Maybe I'm too far back. He can't see me, right? I'll use my radio. Same thing. I come in, I make the joint with the car. I'm going to wait for two things. What?
slack to adjust and
Make sure you start getting used to saying it correctly, though. I'm waiting for movement to stop, slack to adjust. Okay? After that's done, I'm getting on the radio. Conductor Brown going between. That's the way you say it. Conductor Brown going between. What's the engineer going to do right now? He's going to set full independent. He's going to center the reverser, right? Then he's going to come on the radio and say, NARS 1, 2, 3, 4 is set and centered. He has to say those exact words if he's talking on the radio, okay? Now I can go in between and do what I'm doing. And he can't move nothing, touch nothing while I'm in between until I come back out and tell him I'm clear. Does that make sense to you? Like I say, you're going to do it 100 times out here in the field. You'll get very used to it. And this is not just the BNSF. This is just about any railroad you go on. They have some kind of procedure similar to this to go in between cars. They may not say the same exact words, but they will all say set and centered. Okay? Watch this.
Sound like a boat horn, didn't
Yeah, that was a good horn there. All right. This kind of just reiterates everything I just told you. Okay? The big deal with this is this. The brakes must remain applied with the reverser centered, and the locomotive must not be left unattended until the crew member requesting that protection gives the sign on the radio in the clear. So as long as I'm in there, the engineer needs to stay with those locomotives in case something weird happens, right? Until I come back over that radio and tell him I'm in the clear. All right? So remember, you got the hand signals, right? And I'm not saying a signal like this. So get used to doing good hand signals. I'm not saying this or this. Give good, clear hand signals. Remember, that engineer is looking at you through a little mirror. Okay? And he can be pretty far away from you at times. If you figure just 6 cars away, all right, you figure the average length of a car is about 50 feet. You know, that's a pretty good distance back. 6 cars, 10 cars, you know, that's a good distance back. So make sure you give good hand signals. And remember this, if you're looking up toward the engineer and you can't see his mirror,
He can't see you.
he can't see you, right? So sometimes maybe you're too close to the cars, right? So you might have to adjust where you can get that angle.
What happens if you're on the wrong side?
Well, you're gonna have to use your radio then,
Okay.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Because we'll always have a radio unless the battery dies, and then you'll have to figure it out. But here's the thing. If I have to adjust, right, so I can get that angle on him and see him, what do I need to make sure of over here?
There's nothing behind you.
Exactly.
Where you're following.
Alert and attentive, right? Expect the movement anytime, any track, any direction. So I don't want to get so focused on what I'm doing here that I forget about this track over here and get hit. That's happened. Okay?
What's the clear signal?
You don't have a signal, hand signals for I'm in the clear. Basically what it is when I get done doing my work and I come back out, the next signal I give him, like go away or whatever, that automatically tells him I'm in the clear. Because if he can see me, for me to give him the signal, he knows I'm in the clear. Yes, sir.
So, do the engineers have to acknowledge in the clear, or can they just release the?
There's really no set standard to that. But most of the time, if I tell them I'm in the clear, like in the clear, take them ahead 4 cars, right? Most of the time, you're going to hear the engineer say, all right, you're in the clear, going ahead 4 cars, or something like that. But there's no set rule that says he has to physically acknowledge word for word like that. Okay? All right, move on. Big deal right here. Last sentence. Do not go between uncoupled locomotives or cars unless they are separated at least how far? At least 50 feet. Okay? You're risking your life if you do. 50 feet minimum separation in between cars to go in between. And listen, that's with protection, right? So let's say we're like this. There's my engine. That's 2 cars. And that's 2 or 3 more cars, right? I still have to go between protection to go between here, all right? And even though they're separated 50 feet, all right? The only time you don't have to have that 50-foot separation is when they're actually coupled together. If they're not coupled together, you have to pull away from each other 50 feet.
50 on each side from the center, or?
No, it's just 50 total, right here. 50 feet. Okay? A car length. Because we figure, on average, a car length is about 50 feet.
Now, is there any time that you don't have to tell, like if 200 feet or something, you can just walk between?
No.
They're all stuff?
If you're going in between equipment, you got to get that go-between. All right. Now give the signal to move locomotives, cars, equipment, clear the movement. Keep signals, I think. Keep signaling devices in working order and ready for use. Signaling device could be what? Your lantern. What else?
Radio?
Hands, radio, all these things, right? Flags. Keep them in good working order. What's that mean? Well, when you go home at the end of the day, charge your batteries. You know what I'm saying? They give you a charger for that. Charge them. Regard any break in radio communication as a stop signal. So if I'm talking on my radio, normally I'm away from the engineer, right? That's why you're using the radio to begin with. If I'm talking on the radio and he doesn't hear me, or maybe things are staticky or something like that, he needs to consider that a stop signal. Why? Because the last thing he needs is for you to fall off that car and be getting trampled over and he's still moving, okay? If he loses visual contact with you and you're riding that car, he needs to stop, okay? Unless you're going to be talking to him on the radio. Now think of this. You're the conductor. You're responsible for protecting his move if he's backing up. You understand? Because he's up here on the engines. He might have 20 cars and he has to back up. You have to be his eyes and ears, right? So what do you think's going to happen if I'm riding on, let's say, 6 cars? He's got the engine. I'm on the 6th car. We're backing up. He can see me pretty good on straight track, right? In the mirror. But what's going to happen if we start going around a curve? He's going to lose sight of me, right? Listen, that's not that big of a deal. All you got to do is just pick up your radio and say, yeah, we'll be going around a curve. You'll be losing me. I'll be on radio signals. You're still good for 20 cars or whatever. You know, just start talking to him on the radio.
So that's how you do it? You ride on the car?
Absolutely. Yeah. We do a lot of riding on cars. I'm not going to bore you too much with these different hand signals as far as you actually learning them at this point. We'll get into them in week 3 because I want you to be pretty proficient at them when we go to week 4. But as far as the test goes, you don't need to remember exactly what the signals are. Okay. That's set the air brakes. They're basically doing back and forth with a lantern like that.
Back and forth.
Yep, just like this.
If you don't have a lantern, is it the same thing?
It'll be the same thing with your hand, just like this. Okay. Stop signal with a lantern, it's a bottom arc. Okay. Or if you're doing it during the day and you're using 2 hands, same thing. Stop. Proceed. Now this is more at nighttime with a lantern, straight up and down. Proceed means he's going to physically put that reverser in forward. So you got to kind of know which way the engine's facing before you do that. Because they're not always facing the way you think they are. Okay? So proceed. Put it in forward and go. Now, if it's during the day, it's a lot more simpler. All I'm going to do is either say, come to me or get away, right? Because the engineer's looking at you. So I'm going to say, come to me, come on, right? Or go away from me, right? Go away. It's kind of like maybe you 3 walking to lunch to the student center. You know, you got a couple of you walking ahead and somebody's lagging behind. And old Brewski turns around and says, come on, Tyler, pick it up, right? That's the way you give hand signals during the day. It's that relaxed. The more relaxed, the better they'll be able to understand you, right? Come on. Just like you would do the locomotive. Come on. Go away. Okay? Release the air. Hold it straight up. Like I said, you don't have to memorize these right now. Back up at night with a lantern. It's a big circle to the right hand angle of a track.